Welcome to the Health by Haven podcast. I'm your host, Haven Quinlan. If you're a multi-passionate wellness enthusiast, then you're in the right place. I'm obsessed with learning as much as I can about the wellness world, and I want to share that with you. Each episode will dive into various aspects of health and wellness through inspiring and informative guest interviews with some solo episodes thrown in. Tune in for all things health, and let's have some fun, shall we? Is your home in need of a refresh? I don't know about you, but I love reimagining and redesigning my space. If you're wanting to liven up your space and level up your decor, be sure to check out Arranger Paints on Etsy. The shop is full of beautiful paintings, many inspired by nature, and all sure to give your home a custom feel. The paintings also make great housewarming or birthday gifts. I've gifted paintings from the shop and have Arranger Paints artwork in my loft. As a special thank you for supporting the Health by Haven podcast, you can get 10% off your order with code HXH10. You can find the full collection of work at arrangerpaints.etsy.com or scroll down to the show notes for the link. Today's conversation on the Health by Haven podcast is a really special one. I interview Victor. He is a New York City-based runner, and we chat all things running, especially a lot about finding community among runners. He ran the Speed Project in 2024 with a relay team. It's a 300 plus mile race from LA to Vegas. So he shares all about that experience running it on a team 2 years ago in memory of their friend Sam. And he ran it again this past year as a solo runner. So we spent a lot of the time talking about the Speed Project. We also discuss his role as a pacer in the New York City Marathon. We chat about the Boston Marathon and finding community in group runs, including his run club that he participates in New York City called the Almost Friday Run Club. So if you're a runner, if you're looking for an inspiring conversation, if you're looking for conversation about community and connection and doing things for others, this is definitely a great one to tune into. I know you guys are going to love this conversation with Victor. All right, Victor, thank you so much for joining us today on the Health by Haven podcast. I am so thrilled to get to chat with you. I know the world of social media can get a bad rap sometimes, but that's actually how I stumbled upon your account through one of the group running accounts in New York City. So thrilled to get to talk to you today about all things running.
Well, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. Okay, I want to get started kind of like way back when. Can you tell everyone who doesn't know you a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in running?
Cool. I have a pretty non-traditional running story. So I did not grow up playing sports. I was the nerd of the class, which you could see with my giant glasses. I've had glasses since I was little. So throughout high school, I think of the kid that was like the Model UN geek and like the president of SGO. That was my personality, my persona, even into college. I actually started running after college, not because I wanted to run. I went to my friend's engagement about a month after I graduated, and I sweated through a shirt for the first time in my life. And so the next morning I said, I am going to run so that I can go out more and drink more without having to like experience that again. And so I went out, I ran like a half a mile, and then the rest is kind of history. I spent that summer living in Israel between graduation and starting my first job as a banker. And I lived at an orphanage, and they had warned us that you can't drink all summer because you're around children who've experienced this. And so all I had was running at that point. So I did a little running to cope, never more than 3-4 miles. And I came back and I just sort of fell in love with it. And I don't really go out anymore. So the reason I started running is not really why I run anymore.
That's amazing. And how long ago was that?
7 years ago now.
Yeah. Okay. I love that running has evolved for you, but it's been a constant all that time. And tell me more about that summer. That sounds so fascinating.
That was probably the most meaningful summers of my life. I was originally supposed to go with a couple friends on a like post-graduation Southeast Asia trip.
Hmm.
And about a month before graduation, a friend had posted in a Facebook chat, "Hey, I have a really cool opportunity for this summer. If someone's looking for something meaningful, just reach out." And I already had a trip booked, but part of me was like, I'm just curious what they're going to say. And she explained, she said, "Hey, we do this program every summer where we take a group of high school kids and then a group of college kids to live at an orphanage or a handful of different orphanages in Israel to give these kids summer camps. The way that orphanages work there is instead of like the traditional like foster care we have in the US, young parents elect to like parent 10 to 15 children.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
age 10 to 13 and then 13 to 18, two different like groups. And so we went, and because they had no school or no structure, but these parents still had to go work, and it's not their real parents, we would just like ran a day camp for 6 weeks. So really, really meaningful experience. So much to say there, but it deepened both like my value of family, community, friendship, but also when running became a coping mechanism.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of leads us then into Almost Friday's Run Club. So you're based in New York City, and we were chatting offline a little bit that you grew up in Brooklyn. So fun. So can you tell us a little bit about how the Run Club came to be? Had you done group runs before that? Give us all the background.
Yeah, Almost Friday Run Club, AFRC, was an accident. It started by a group of four guys. I actually wasn't one of the original. Ben, David, Graham, and my late friend Sam, who just post COVID were trying to find a way to hang out. And Graham was known to do business development for the Run Club that didn't really exist. So I had walked into a coffee shop with 3-inch shorts once because it was laundry day. It was the last pair of shorts I had clean. And he immediately looked at me. He goes, "We don't know each other, but you probably run," and pitched me on this run club. My foot was broken at the time, so a couple months later, I finally came out, and it was the four of them and me. And we ended out continuously inviting friends. We had an iMessage chat, and iMessage caps you at 32 people. So we're like, this club can never get bigger than 32 people. And it was just our friends. So every Wednesday night, someone in the group would write, "Who's coming tomorrow?" And if you liked the message, it meant you were coming. If you ignored it, we knew not to look out for you. The most people we ever had was like 12. And then one day we showed up, there was like 40 people there we didn't know. And it turns out someone picked us up on TikTok as this is one of the
Oh.
this summer, but we were in a run club. And then we became.
That is so funny. So once again, power of social media, I guess, spreading
Yeah.
spreading the news about the Run Club and connecting people. So, okay, I love that you ran into somebody just spot the runner, basically, and they brought you into the crew. That is so fun. And I was in the city last summer and got to enjoy some miles with your run club as well as others, and definitely have found like that was a great way for me to meet people in the city when I didn't really know anyone there. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the club? Like, when do you meet? Where do you meet? If people are listening and they're like, oh, I really want to like make some new runner friends.
Yeah. Almost Friday Run Club is the best run club, obviously in New York, probably on the globe. But what makes us really awesome is that we are a social first, friendship first group. We do not have pace groups. We don't have like faster people, slower people. We run every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. And we all run together. So it's usually around like between 9:30 and 11-minute pace, depending on who comes. We run about a mile and a half. We then turn around and walk until somebody decides to start running again, and then we run back. It's the same route every week. I'd say the same people, but fortunately, more people keep coming out. And I think what's really special is so many people have like found their community and friendship there, myself included. So 90% of my friends started on the corner of Morton Street and the West Side Highway at 7 a.m. It's really special and very cool.
Yeah, I love that. And I know a lot of people listening, like myself included, it can be really intimidating to go to a brand new run club if you don't know anybody there at all. And I mean, I know all the fears of like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to keep up? Which you've kind of already mentioned, everyone running together. But if someone's listening and they're like, I've never tried a run crew before, but they're interested in it, like, do you have any words to share with them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. First off, just ask other people who you know have gone to one or two. what their experience was like, because everyone sort of has the same experiences. If I went, I was really intimidated, I was scared, and they ended up becoming my best friends. The second is just do it. The worst case, you show up, you don't talk to anyone, but you got your run in anyway. You were doing this. Um, and the third is just say hi to people. Like you all share this thing. You're all there, whether you're running for a goal or not. Like everyone's out there running, and you just have this common ground. People will surprise you when you do cool things in cool places. So show up, smile at people. Yeah, that's my advice.
Okay, so fun. So you mentioned having a goal. So I'm going to transition us into races a little bit. I believe, tell me if I'm doing my research wrong, but I believe you just completed the Dopey Challenge. Is that correct? Can you tell people about it if they don't know what that is?
Yeah. So the Dopey Challenge is part of one of Disney World's race weekend series. It happens every January. And every January, they do the World Disney World Marathon. The day before that, they do the World Disney World Half Marathon. The day before that is a 10K, and the day before that is a 5K. So usually you sign up for one race, but Disney offers this thing called the Dopey Challenge, where you do all four of them. So you do 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. The hard part is not necessarily the distance. Don't get me wrong. It's very hard to run 50 miles over 4 days. The hard part is that they all start at 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, and so the latest bus typically leaves between 3 and 3:30 a.m. to get
Oh,
to the start.
geez.
And you're not in Disney World just to hang out. So you wake up at 3 a.m., you go run this race, you come back, you go to an amusement park until 10 p.m., you go to bed for 3 hours, and you wake up and do it again every day.
Oh,
This
man.
year I did Dopey for the second time. Last year was the first time, but this is my friend Alex and I who go every year. That was our fifth year of going for this weekend.
Oh,
So I'm
fun.
already signed up for the marathon next year. So it's part of who we are. It's part of our running identity, and it is just one of the most fun weekends you can be part of.
Okay, amazing. So did you guys run all of those races together then?
So Alex got hurt this year.
Oh,
So
no.
this year, he did come cheer me on. We have some cool photos with some signs. I ran them all myself this year, or made friends at the start.
Hmm.
This year was really fun because I was coming off a pretty bad injury, and I had just started running a couple weeks before that. And so it was really fun to just no goals. You step back, you just like vibing
Yeah.
sweatpants out there. I'd never done that. Uh, like waving, taking pictures with the characters. It's really cool to just do all the fun things that you see other people do.
Yeah.
Don't have to.
Yeah. Okay. I can imagine like even fun running a race is like really hard to pull yourself back sometimes, but that certainly feels like a course where you're like, you're there for the experience. You're there to take it all in and everything. And actually, a friend that I've had on the show, and we're interviewing again tomorrow, because she just ran London, but she ran Dopey last year. So I'll have to connect you guys because she does a ton of the Disney races as well.
Yeah, the people who do the Disney races really go for it. They're there
Yeah.
every time. They've got their costumes. They've got all the medals out. I think I'm a somewhat of an anomaly. I love it. I can't figure out how people run that far in costumes. I wore a High School Musical jersey this year, and that felt like a
Okay.
lot. And I was like, but then you'll see like these giant like concoctions and like six people matching, and I admire those people, and I can't pull it.
Yeah, a sport in and of itself. And from what I've heard, like getting into those races rivals, like getting into New York Roadrunners races.
It is hard. We This year the registration was in March for next January, so
Oh
10
my
months.
gosh,
You don't plan anything.
wild.
This is the only thing I planned. I had the person I work with, his laptop, both our phones. I got other people in the office like give it because basically you join a virtual queue and you don't know what spot you're in until they just let you in.
Oh my
And these races
gosh.
about like 35,000 spots in an hour and a half. And if you get in, you're great, and if you don't, you're not. So it's just mayhem. But we very fortunately got our spots, and we will be there here.
Okay, amazing. Well, we'll have to tune back in next year then, see how you guys do in the race. Okay, and then another race that you just ran, probably like opposite vibes. I don't know, you tell me, is the Speed Project. And that race, for people who don't know, 340 miles from Santa Monica Pier to Vegas. Wild. No course. You just get there in a relay team. So, can you set the scene for us? Tell us a little bit about your team, about why you guys wanted to run. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, I actually might throw a little bit of a wrench here because I didn't do it as a team this year. I ran it so.
Oh, okay. So see, I didn't do my research as well as I thought.
No, you did because I ran it as a team last year.
Okay.
The speed product is a crazy concept. It's an unsanctioned underground, if you know kind of race. So there's no way to apply. There's no website where you could like sign up. If you know someone who knows someone and they somehow get you a form, you could put your name up and hopefully give some answers that makes the race organizer want you to join. But if you don't get in, it's not like you get a rejection. You just never hear back from them. You don't know what the dates are until the day of the race when they like show a video of people running out of Santa Monica. It is really cool. So it started about 12, 13 years ago now. About 5 years ago, they started offering people the chance to run all the miles alone. So last year, for some reason, when I finished as a relay, I felt like there was something that I still had out there. And I told the organizer at the day after, like, put my name in for solo. And so this year I did the Speed Project solo.
Baffling. Uh,
Yeah.
why?
That is the biggest question I get. My parents had asked it, my therapist, you name it. Everyone's been like, what is that? The reason? I didn't know. I like went into this knowing it was something I needed to do, and I
Mm.
couldn't really figure out exactly why. It just felt like there's something out there to discover. I think throughout it, I learned a lot about myself. I learned about how lucky I was, how loved I felt, how incredibly fortunate I was that everything could culminate in an experience like this. And I learned even more that I will never understand why I needed to do it, but it's just one of those things you'll walk away knowing you're forever different. So my why isn't so clear, but the outcome was very powerful.
I think logging miles on a run is one of the best ways to work through things in your head, positive or negative. I'm curious if you like what your inner dialogue was like, if you even remember, because I cannot fathom getting through mentally that many miles. A marathon is plenty for me to feel a little bit delusional by the end. So,
Yeah.
can you share about maybe like some of that inner dialogue, some of the coolest parts, some of the parts that were the most challenging to push through?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little context. I came into this having not I started running again at the end of December. So the goal originally was like, let's get in really good shape for like 6, 7 months, learn how to run a lot of miles because you need to cover 300 in a little over 4 days is the hope. And I ended out with a double stress fracture in my leg this fall. So all of that got thrown into the air. Lucky enough, I spoke to a good friend who has won this race actually a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And he basically talked me off the ledge. He's like, hey, as long as you show up to the start line healthy and mentally you are ready to cope with whatever's about to come at you, you'll be okay. So I came into this, the most I've ever run in a day was 35 miles. The most I'd ever run in a week was 110, which all like really big numbers. But when you're about to run 70 miles for 4 straight days, you're like, I am so not ready for this.
Yeah, no kidding.
But that morning, I ran the first morning we started, I had run 44 or so straight miles. We're like, okay, we're already in like newfound territory. Um, you the things that go through your mind really just like ebb and flow throughout it. So the first couple days were pretty okay. We're like we were making jokes that maybe we'll get to the end and never have like a harsh moment. Maybe I'll be the into like this was not that bad. So you don't think for a lot of it because a lot of it's just straight road with desert surrounding you and nothing particularly like nice to look at. You're just looking at desert, and then it gets hard. And when it gets hard, you start to question everything, every like amount of your being, every semblance of why am I out here. The one thing I will say, I got very lucky. I never had the question of will I finish this? Like I don't think that was ever a doubt.
Mm,
Uh, but you really get to dark places
yeah.
when your ankle starts hurting you at mile 177 and you're like, I have another 123 miles to go and I can't put any pressure on my left side.
Yeah.
It,
Oh my
you're like,
gosh.
yeah, it's a little bit crazy. Definitely really high highs, definitely very low lows and dark moments out there. The bright thing is that when it's over, I guess probably like any marathon, you don't remember the pain. So
Mm-hmm.
back at the whole experience really fondly, which is a little bit of ultra amnesia, as someone had been calling it. For better or for worse, I should probably remember the pain, but I don't remember a lot of the pain.
Yeah. Okay. And did you ever like stop and sleep or anything?
Yeah, so I had an amazing group of friends out there with me. I had my friend Grayson and Austin who were there for the entire week, and then two friends, Jack and Brooke, who flew into Vegas and came back with the car and met me on Wednesday night. The race started Monday morning. They drove an RV, Grayson and Austin, all week. So the way our typical day was set up is we'd run from around 4 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. or so.
Mm-hmm.
We had a heat wave, obviously, great timing. So it was 90
Mm.
plus degrees every day. So
Oh,
we would
goodness.
turn off from like 1 to 3. I would take a nap, try to eat some lunch, and then we'd go from like 3 p.m. until somewhere between 11 and 12, depending on how many miles we had. And then I would sleep for 3 hours every night and then start and then run that back. So definitely got some naps and some sleeps, we'll call them. I ate a lot of random things just on the run, whatever was tossed to me outside the RV. Uncrustables, Chobani flips, you name it, I was eating it. But yeah, definitely. It's such an interesting but incredible experience.
Had you ever done any sort of like ultra race before besides when you did the relay?
No, that was it. I had planned to maybe do something in this lead up, but the universe had different plans with my leg. And so I tried the February leading into it, running the same number of miles per day. So like February 1st, 1 mile, February, and I didn't make it that far. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, we'll see how this goes. I don't think I have the ultra prep as everyone else has, but it
Yeah.
surprisingly worked to my advantage. So it was great.
Yeah. Okay. The uncharted territory would definitely overwhelm me, as well as the like running in the dark. I think that would be the scary part because if people aren't familiar, like there's definitely some like lack of civilization that you're running through. So what was that like?
There were definitely sketchy parts. So the nighttime and the early morning, when you're running through cities that either the city is just a bunch of RVs on the side of the road somewhere,
Mm,
or like a bunch of trailers and a lot of stray dogs barking at you and without fences, possibly chasing you. So it's freaky. Fortunately, early in the morning, your brain isn't on. So I just
yeah.
couldn't process what was happening until day 3 when there was a little bit of a dog almost incident that we avoided.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, it's very sketchy. You also have, in addition to like weird civilization, you also have like 50, 60 mile stints of nothing. Like running through Death Valley and running through Power Line Road that's not actually a road. You're just running through a desert for 46 miles, mostly uphill. Like you're not seeing much and it's not
Yeah.
creepy per se, but you're just in the middle of nowhere. No
Mm.
fun. It's hard to describe.
What was the footing like? Because I am strictly a road runner. I've not run trails, and I imagine growing up in Brooklyn, you probably didn't run many trails. What was that like?
Yeah, so I have not run many trails and I still don't. It's a lot of road, fortunately, because like you're running through,
Mm,
you leave LA until you get to mile one something. It's mostly like civilization to an extent. So a
mm,
lot of sidewalks, a lot of shoulders on the highway you're running on, because like you have to like get across the highway. The closest you get to trails would be if you're ever driving on a really big highway and you
hmm.
just notice to your right or left, there's just trees and mountains.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, like, you think anyone's in there? And so that's like what we had gone through for a really good portion of it. You probably have like 60, 70 miles through not really roads, but not roads, and you're just so that's like the closest. And then there's a lot of desert miles. So a lot of like on sand through like I mentioned, Death Valley. There's that road. It's 46 desert, hilly, gravelly miles. But
Hmm.
otherwise, it's probably like 60, 70% road, and then 30% or so of these trails are desert.
Okay. And are you like swapping out gear? Like, are you burning through shoes? What is that like?
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to expect. So last year when we did this as a relay, it snowed on us in Death Valley,
Oh my
which
gosh.
doesn't happen because it's the driest place in North America, apparently. So I came prepared this year. I brought windbreakers, I brought snow outfits, I brought mittens, like you name it, I had it. We ended up getting into a really good cadence because of the heat wave that we sort of knew it was just going to be shorts and t-shirt for everything.
Mm.
Um, I am a bit of a non-traditional runner where I like to run in cotton t-shirts, just like oversized black comfy t-shirts until it gets too hot. So the mornings were simple, like throw on a pair of shorts, throw on a black cotton t-shirt, or like a fun t-shirt if I needed a little bit of a boost.
Mm.
Wise, I swapped between three brands. I was using Mount to Coast, this like new ultra running shoe, which is fantastic. New Balance, and then an Asics pair. And then anytime you just felt anything even slightly off, you just change shoes. And I didn't know what was off or why it was off or if the shoe thing would help, but it was just a mental pass me the red ones or pass me the black ones. And
Hmm.
we would change, I changed clothes every segment. So every 35, 40 miles, I
Hmm.
would change clothes, and then shoes every like 20 to 25 miles. I was just swapping in pairs.
Okay, so cycling through three, basically.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about the camaraderie out there. Like, it's not a course that you have to follow. So, were you around any other teams or anyone else who was running solo, or was it kind of just like your support crew and you?
Yeah. It was a little bit of it's mostly solo. Though I'll describe it this way. So there is a relay aspect of this, which you mentioned. This is what it started with. There were 80 something relay teams, but the relay teams start Friday and we started Monday. So we
Okay.
were going to see the relay teams. We all started together at 4 a.m. at the Santa Monica Pier. So the first 2 miles I had company until I turned off the road because there is no actual course. You go any way you want. And then I hadn't seen anyone between miles 2 and 44. I just saw my support team. I ran with someone for 11 miles, 44 to 55, and then didn't see anyone until day three at mile 160. And even that was, I saw someone across a highway just wave to me. I didn't know
Yeah.
who it was. And I was like, all right, we have company now. And we like cross paths, me and this person, maybe three times between mile 160 and the finish. That's the extent of the company you get from other teams. Like you're all out there over 300 miles, people get spread out. There's countless different ways to go. We took the route that most people don't take because it's just different elevation profile. It's not as fast as some of the other routes, but we took that one, which meant we knew we weren't going to see people. But then I had my crew, which I saw in the morning time every 5, 10 miles, or if it was really hot, every 3, 4 miles. And then at night, it was like every 2, 3 miles. They would stop, replenish, every once in a while, jump in and share some miles with me to keep me from going absolutely insane. And yeah, they were my lifeline and my support system.
Amazing. And I'm sure they had an incredible experience getting to be out there as well in a different capacity. So that's really cool.
I hope so. I'm like so grateful for them. Really, when we finished, the first thing I had said was, "We did it." And someone looked at me, it's like, you did it. And I'm like, this was an us sport. Like I would have broke at mile 10 back in LA. And so it really was very meaningful to have them there for it.
I love that. And it kind of circles back to like the camaraderie with the run club as well, because running can seem like such a solo sport, but it doesn't have to be. And that's one of my favorite parts about it too. It's so much more fun to enjoy miles with other people as well. It makes them go by faster and all of that. So I want to take us a little bit back to your friend Sam, because I feel like I would be remiss if we didn't share his story as well. And I know that that was kind of the starting point for the first time that you ran the speed project with your team. So if you don't mind to share just a little bit about him and why, your crew did that first speed project.
Yeah. Wow, where to begin? Sam Norton passed away on August 27th, 2023. Him and I and his girlfriend Megan and a couple other friends were in California at the Santa Rosa Marathon, and he collapsed at mile 23, and then he passed away. Sam was the lifeline of any friend group you'd have. He's the lifeline of, he was, he's just the person you would call no matter what, whether it was running, work, friendship, just to chat. He was the reason the run club started. He's the reason people felt like they had community there. Um, he's really honestly like there's not enough words to adequately describe what Sam meant to everyone that he meant to, and like how the ripple effect of his existence has had on so many others. So Sam and I had applied to run the speed project as a team in for like the 2024 version last year. And 3 days after his funeral, I got the acceptance for on like our application. And I immediately, well, actually, no, the first thing I did was close the email and said, maybe if I never read it, no one will ever know. And I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I waited 2 days and I called one of his other best friends, David, and I just put it out there and I said, hey, I don't really know. Like, first I started like that and I was like, you just have to come over. So he came up and I just showed him my phone. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. There's definitely things like we want to do in Sam's memory and his honor, but and David immediately is like, Sam would want us to do this. We're going to do this for Sam. So we rallied just a group of our closest friends, and we did the first version last year as a team in Sam's memory. So our team name was called the Sam Project, and that originated because I also used to be a coach, more so for fun. I like never charge anyone. I would just do it for friends and family. And I was coaching Sam for his first Boston, and as a gift to me, he made a sweatshirt called the Victor Project. Um,
Oh.
so when we were trying to come up with the right name, it only felt fitting to call it the Sam Project, and we
Mhm.
ran as a team in his memory. And we did the longest route you possibly can take from LA to Vegas because we imagined that's exactly how he would do it. Only he would want it to be harder than it had to be.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that story. I can't imagine being in your shoes. And it sounds like he was just such an incredible friend and community member and focused on bringing people together. So I love that, you guys can share his memories still through that. And you guys put together a really beautiful documentary that I'll make sure I link to in the show notes as well of that relay. I really enjoyed watching it. It's very touching. And so I'm sure it's not easy to talk about. So I appreciate you sharing that as well. As far as Boston goes, I know you mentioned coaching him through that. Have you run that race too?
I ran it after the speed project last year, so it was a bit more of a fun run. Because I think it was 2 weekends later, but it was Boston is a lot.
Yeah. I'm starting to think you're like searching for pain, Victor.
I maybe that's the theme. I've been looking for it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we'll name the episode. Okay. I have not run Boston. I've been trying to chase my qualifier. So for people like me who are just itching to be out on that course, can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah. So the thing that everyone had told me about Boston was that it was downhill for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Um, it is not. I mean, you're net downhill, but and Sam had warned me this after he ran it the first time. He's like, you're just going to be rolling hills for a while. But I think more importantly than the course and it being harder than they make it out to be, I think actually what's very special and why I get the chase of Boston, like I chased Boston for years to qualify, is how cool it is to have thousands upon thousands of people who all went through the same amount of effort and work to get to that start line. And
Mm.
everyone around you has like put in what you would put in. So it's like a really special bond you share with 30,000 strangers at a start line. And so that was very cool. The city of Boston is amazing, and every city between the start and the finish is just packed with people who have some connection to it, whether it's their houses on the course, they know someone running, their great grandparent ran it. It's just so cool to pass through like communities like that. I had a really, really special experience out there, and getting to run it a couple weeks after the speed project, um, knowing that I was supposed to run it with Sam, like getting to do it in his memory, and his mom and siblings were on the course there cheering. I had some of my best friends out there. We ran it with his girlfriend, Megan, who was running it in his memory. So it was just very special to have all of us out there doing this thing for something greater than ourselves and then being surrounded by everyone that was just throwing love and support at us. So super cool. It hurts so much not to be
Yeah.
ready for a marathon, and I was definitely not ready to run a marathon.
So if you're training for Boston, run hills, is what you're saying.
Run, yeah, run hills and get ready to be to hurt in the best
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. In the pain cave. But us runners, I guess it's a sickness. We like keep going back. So,
Yeah. As often as we think we found it, we redefine it and we always come back for more. That's it. We
yeah.
always come back for more.
Okay. So this seems like a hard question, maybe like slightly unfair to ask you, but what would be your like favorite race experience or maybe your top few? Maybe we've already talked about them.
No, this is actually a really hard question. Because every race I feel like I've done has been so drastically and meaningfully different. Um, well, Speed Project's most recent, and just because of that being an overall like just experience on its own and a mission, that's definitely up there. I'm not going to rank these because it's too hard to give
Yeah.
each one a
Yeah. Yeah.
score. I will say it's really special to be a part of the New York City Marathon every year. I am lucky enough to be one of the pacers of that race. So I get to run with one of those sticks and guide a group depending on what pace group. And that is one of the most special days of the year, crossing that finish line with hundreds of people who just like hit that goal
Mm.
and you'll never see again, but you know you were a part of their really meaningful day. So New York City Marathon, amazing. Um, Disney's so fun. I'm an adult, a Disney adult, and I love being out there. And to the fact that that's become a tradition when I thought it was going to be like this just has to be my first marathon, and now it's become five of them and counting. That's really special. And I'm sure there's a lot of other races in between there, but those are the ones that come to mind as like these are my really meaningful experiences.
Yeah. And I imagine New York City really cool because it's kind of like your hometown marathon as well. Are you pacing it this year then?
I am.
Do you know what pace group you're doing?
Not yet. They don't tell us till slightly beforehand. Let's see. I usually ask for, I give them ranges because like I feel very lucky I can pace a lot of the different paces they offer.
Hmm.
But I like to be in a group that has like a meaningful line. So like sometimes like it's 3:30 because like everyone's
Hmm.
or the most fun I've ever had was pacing the sub 4 group because it's so cool. There's like we had 200, 300 people at that start. And what's awesome is it's a group that works just as hard as anyone else, doesn't get enough credit relative to anyone that's trying to run like sub 3, but they work
Hmm.
just as hard, if not harder, to get there. And they're honestly more fun. There's nobody yelling at you like, what was that last mile at? Are we on? Everyone's just happy to be there and like just fully trust you. And so the sub 4 group is so fun to be a part of.
Slightly
I hope
more chill than the 330 or sub three groups.
Yeah, way more chill. But because like once you get the 3:30, I think I did 3:25 a couple years ago when the BQ was 3:30.
Mm.
I had a very intense group of people. It worked, everyone was happy, but it's it's fun. It's just not the same level of fun as just a group who's just like has this goal and is just so happy to be there and like doesn't want to rip your head off after a couple seconds off.
Yeah, well, I've run with both of those pacing crews in different races, and so yeah, I can attest to almost the like naivety of being in a slower pacing group and like being in one of your earlier races and just purely being out there and like so proud of yourself for being out there versus the like I have to hit a certain goal, and then sometimes that can take a little bit of the joy away from it. So
100%. Can I share one fun story?
please.
So when I pace the 4-hour group, um, one of the things that gets really difficult is you don't actually know who started with you. So as
Mm,
you get towards the end of this race, just because you're on pace doesn't necessarily
yeah.
mean anyone with you. And so I remember we're turning the last, let's say, like 800 meters into Central Park to finish New York City Marathon. And this guy had been running with me for 11 miles now. I don't know when he started, but I turned to him and I was like, what does your watch say? Because mine says, and I gave him the time, and he had started 28 seconds before me. Um, and the way that we are taught to pace is we need to be about a second faster per mile. So like our
Hmm.
goal that year was 3:59:30, came in exactly on the mark. But I like
Nice.
turned to him and I said, you need to start sprinting. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't ask, just run. So this guy like takes off and he waits for me at the finish and he finished in 3:59:59.
No kidding. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that was the
That's
sweatiest thing
amazing.
I ever got in my life.
Well, I thank you for your service because Pacers, man, seriously, that's another breed. I mean, first of all, I don't want to carry the little sign on a stick. That's probably nothing after the speed project, but for real, that seems like your shoulder would be sore. And then, yeah, I mean, they can get you over a lot of mental hurdles to get to your end goal. So that's cool.
No, it's my favorite thing. It's more fun than racing on my own to just be a part of someone else's day and then like dissipate into the darkness afterwards. Wasn't my thing. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, awesome. And probably helps you mentally get through if you're having a tough go of it, being like, well, I got to show up for these people.
Exactly. It's so cool. I'm very grateful to be a part of that.
Awesome. What are some of your favorite brands or gear to run in? I know we talked about your speed project gear, but maybe if you're just like getting out the door for a morning group run.
Um, so I am a little biased because our club works with New Balance. And
Mm.
so shout out to Sean, Matt, Tessa, and everyone there. I am a sucker for a good New Balance product. If outside of New Balance, a newer brand that I've been running a lot of miles in is a shoe brand called Mount to Coast. Um, they had just popped up into my feed, and I had met someone at an event, and he sent me a pair of shoes to test. They are meant for ultras. They're meant for longer distance, but road. So if you want to run any amount of miles, they are like the softest, most incredible shoes you'll run in. And so I run with them most days at this point. 3 miles, 4 miles, 2 miles, like they're so soft and cool. One very cool thing about that shoe, it only has half a lace. So it laces from the midway up and the bottom has
Oh.
elastic so that you can like leave your toes as much room as they want, which is really nice during the speed project when my feet started to swell before I lost all my toenails. But before that, it was nice.
RIP. Okay, well, you're enticing me to try those because the 1080s are my faves, and that's like a max
Okay,
cushion, but
amazing. 1080s, number one.
yeah,
Easy.
yeah. Okay, I've got some running themed rapid fire questions for you if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, running watch or no watch?
No watch,
Headphones or no headphones?
no headphones.
All right, morning or evening run?
I am a morning person.
Solo or group run?
I think there's a time and place for both, which is a bit of a tricky thing to say. But if I had to choose one, it would be group.
Roads or trails?
Roads. As much as time as I spend outside, I'm not a man of nature. I don't run in the woods. I don't run with the roads.
And speed work or long run?
Long runs.
Amazing. Okay, I want to make sure we chat about everything you want to chat about. So, any parting words that you want to leave everybody with?
Choose goals that excite you enough to chase them, but not enough to keep you in bed. So I think it's very hard. And when you listen to anybody talk about running, and I can imagine this episode and specifically talking about only marathons and up, is for someone starting to run might be like, all right, that's like not really tangible. What is he doing? Like, I wouldn't do that. How am I going to get into this sport? When I started running, I ran a half a mile the first day I ran, and I didn't run more than 3 miles for like 5 months. And so in those early days, it was very much about like, what's the thing that's going to excite me to try it, but not enough that it's going to scare me and I'm just not going to do anything. So that is my words of advice on the way out. As you set your goals and as you step into whether it's running, biking, walking, work, life, whatever it is, set yourself up for goals that excite you. And I could guarantee whether or not you achieve those goals, you will find so much meaning in the process chasing them.
Amazing advice. And do you have your next goal yet? Or are you happy to not have a goal for a while?
Um, I am happy to not have a goal for a while. I didn't expect to have as much positive thoughts about the speed project afterwards, and I imagined I was a one and done, but my brain is spinning, so Sorry, mom and dad. We will see what's next. There's some thoughts churning.
Amazing. Well, where can people follow along if they want to know what your next race might end up being? And if they're in New York and they want to run with the Run Club, how can they find you guys?
Yes. So if you want to find our run club, we are New York based, but we're actually in 4 cities. So New
Oh,
York, Boston, DC, San Francisco. Find us in any of those. So it's Almost Friday Run Club. And then if it's Boston, it's .bos. And then for the other cities, the same way. And then I guess, mostly found on Instagram. I don't post or share that often, but I guess you'll know about things after they happen, or during if it's a 5 day thing and I give my phone away. But it's Vic_Zee.
awesome. And we'll link it all in the show notes. Victor, it was so much fun getting to chat with you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Health by Haven podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give the show a 5-star rating and leave a review. It makes such a huge difference in reaching new people and spreading the joy of healthy living. I would also be so appreciative if you subscribe to the show in the listening app of your choice so you never miss an episode. Your support truly means the world to me. Have a happy, healthy day, and I'll talk to you again soon.